Welcome back to In Ohio Country Today podcast, part of the In Ohio Country Today TV show. I'm Big Dan Wilson, and our guest today is Cheryl Day. She's the Executive Vice President of the Ohio Pork Council. Now, the Ohio Pork Council was established in 1968 when leaders in the Ohio pork industry determined that it was necessary to promote their own product. When the organization began, about 800 farmers dedicated themselves to that task. Now, the council has approximately 2,500 members. As the organization has grown, so have the programs to promote pork, along with the increased services of the Ohio Pork Council. Cheryl, how are you this morning?
We are doing great.
Thank you so very much for joining us. And the Ohio Pork Council does some terrific things. Before we get into some of the events, and of course the Ohio Pork Congress coming up very soon, let's talk a little bit about the industry here in the Buckeye State and how much it has truly grown since 1968.
Yes, Ohio is extremely blessed. Some of the same values have been held, as a mission driven by purpose. And these same farm families that started the organization in 1968, you can see their generations are with us. We've had some changes. We've definitely had producers exit, but we've grown. And what's the beauty of Ohio pork versus our other top 10 states is that we hold on to those family-ran farms. Some of them may look bigger in scale, but they're still the family running at the top level. And that's the beauty of Ohio pork industry, is that we have diverse in size, we have common values, but at the end of the day, they're sharing that pride and that we care commitment to raise wholesome protein for your plate.
It's amazing to me the positivity that has grown from a marketing standpoint since the very first campaign of the other white meat. It's interesting, too, that in that span of time that we have learned so much about the value of pork when it comes to health. And so let's talk a little bit about that product and the great product that's created here in the Buckeye State and how it relates to good health as far as a great protein to have in your diet on a regular basis.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for a better product to deliver the nutritional value for the calories. You can definitely consume less calories, but get a huge bang for your buck there. And one thing that we've known over all the years is that level of protein in a lean product. Now, the product has looked different, right? When they focused on pork, the other white meat, they were competing with chicken, very obviously. But we've evolved because that's not what consumers want. Their food is health, and they definitely want a valuable protein at a lower calorie value. And so we're recognizing that now. And we have an exciting new campaign that we will be talking about, and we have been talking about, and Ohio's embraced it, is taste what pork can do. We're not apologizing for being the other white meat anymore. We are definitely going to say to you, put pork on your plate. It's healthy, it tastes great, and it's versatile. And that's something that we want the consumer to see. Now, I'm seeing in Ohio that there is some goal-driven end user being done on the farm. What I mean by that is they're adjusting their genetics. They're realizing that we need to be making sure that there's a little bit more fat on that product. They need to improve the quality and the taste. And so we have some of our middle-sized and larger producers switching the genetics in the barn, the nutrition package in the barn, to really meet the consumer where they're at. But we also need a favor from our consumers. We need to say, can you please cook your pork to 145? When you're grilling that pork chop, do it like a steak. Because Grandma used to overcook it. And we know what happened. But pork today is raised. The animals are healthier. We've made extreme strides in safety. And so that pork chop and then your loin can be cooked at 145. Let it rest, keep it juicy, and you're going to be golden. And ground pork at 165. So if you use the right temperatures, that is going to be such a better eating experience.
It really is. As somebody who likes to smoke meats, one of the things that you have to pay attention to, as always, with anything that you smoke, is the internal temperature of that piece of meat. And pork is so versatile, like you said, and it's so easy to use in so many other dishes that versatility really takes over. But like you said, Grandma, that's just the way it was. You never really got a juicy pork chop, and it really is a different cut of meat these days. And so let's talk about that, how it's produced. You talked about the families and the family farms that are here in the Buckeye State that have generations of raising pork, but the production of the product itself has certainly changed, right?
Absolutely. We brought those pigs indoors.
Yes.
And let's talk about why we did that. Because it's months and weeks like we've been having right now, right? These days of frigid temperatures, it's not good on a pig. And then the hot summers, they don't sweat. So that's equally bad for a pig and their health. And so when you bring them indoors, you're controlling their environment.
Mm-hmm.
You are providing a very healthy environment for those pigs because it's 70 in that barn year round. And they're cleaning, sterilizing that barn. And it is providing the exact food that they need to the nutritional value. It is allowing the farmer to get back to caring for the pig because they're walking those pens. They're touching and looking at those animals every day with their farm teams. And they're noticing when there is an animal health problem, we need to address it hands-on. When they're outside running around, sometimes they hide from you even inside a fence.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a much easier process for not just the animal, for the human too, taking care of the animal. But the basics of any safe product and food that we eat on our plate, especially in animal agriculture, is a healthy animal. And bringing them inside controls that animal health factor. The other side of it is we're finding out the Ohio Pork Council is in the middle of doing some research, and it's ongoing, so we can't give all the results out yet. But we're noticing that those outdoor production has a risk. And the risk is the manure is eventually going to run off that land, just like a cattle feedlot.
Right. And
depending on how it travels, you can do buffer strips, and there's other ways to mitigate it. But eventually, if you don't, just like when you spread manure, you don't work it in the ground, it's going to end up in the waterway.
Mm-hmm.
So we can control the environmental impact by raising these pigs indoors.
And that's a great point. You talk about the clean environment and what it does for not only the product, not only for the pig, but for the environment around that particular farm. You're listening to the In Ohio Country Today podcast and radio show, part of the In Ohio Country Today TV show. Our guest today is Executive Vice President of the Ohio Pork Council, Cheryl Day. We'll be back with more right after this.
Meyer formula mixers are built for speed, accuracy, and efficiency. With fast processing times, low load heights, and precision unloading, Meyer helps you get more out of every load. Don't waste feed with unreliable mixers. Meyer has been innovating feed mixing for over 70 years. When you need consistent results, load after load, trust Meyer mixers from Apple Farm Service. Stop in today or view our inventory at applefarmservice.com/Meyer. Allen Township in Hancock County is your next land auction opportunity. From your area leader in land auctions, Dye Real Estate and Land Company. 63 plus acres of versatile land with ag and development opportunities with high quality soils and a great location. Join us February 12th at 6 p.m. at the Hancock County Fairgrounds in Findlay, Ohio. Online bidding is also available from your area leader in land auctions, Dye Real Estate and Land Company. For more information on this and other upcoming auctions, go to dyerealestate.com.
Rodock Leasing Sales and Service is your place for Wilson livestock trailers. Wilson builds reliable, lightweight, and corrosion-resistant aluminum livestock trailers. Wilson is known for their attention to animal and operator safety, as well as the best in biosecurity. Wilson delivers your best value and your lowest cost of operation. Rodock is your home for Wilson livestock trailers. Call Rodock Leasing Sales and Service today. Learn more at rodock.com. Welcome back to the In Ohio Country Today podcast and radio show, part of the In Ohio Country Today TV show. I'm Big Dan Wilson, and our guest this week is Cheryl Day, Executive Vice President of the Ohio Pork Council. And one of the things that has really come to light with any production, any animal agriculture here in the Buckeye State is biosecurity. So let's talk a little bit about that too. You know that farmer has to come in and out of that barn, but maintaining biosecurity is extremely important when producing a product like Ohio pork.
Very good point. The Ohio pig farmer has, I would dare say the American pig farmer, had been practicing biosecurity way before we all experienced it with COVID, right?
Right.
I remember talking to people during the crisis, and I said, does this sound familiar? A pig farmer or their team member will get out of their car at the lot before the barn. They'll have to put plastic boots on. They will walk into the building, and they will discard their clothing on the dirty side of the line, as like we like to say, and they will have to shower in and put fresh clothing on. The reason they're doing that is because they don't want to bring anything from the outside environment, including what could be on their vehicle, into that barn. We definitely have a high level of a production-limited disease called PRRS here in Ohio, and it's easily spread from farm to farm. And most of the time, it's the people and the vehicles and the traffic, because if we don't properly wash our vehicles, you bring it into the lot and they can easily walk into the barn. And so when you move those pigs inside and you add a shower room, you're definitely reducing your risk of spreading a disease that maybe your neighbor would have.
Wow. You know, that's really important too, that our farmers and our farming families in the pork industry really take a concern and a upper level approach when it comes to production. And while we're talking about production, let's talk about that cost of doing business. Now, we've moved the pigs from outside inside the barn. We're taking care of that environment. We're creating biosecurity. We're making sure that they're comfortable with consistent temperatures and heating and cooling, and making sure we're moving the manure out safely and efficiently. But let's talk about the other inputs that go into raising Ohio pork.
Yes, so they're number one. Well, I would say the top two cost of business is their feed cost, right? They rely on our great crop farmers that raise the soybeans and the corn to have a product, a nutritional product to feed the animal. And then the labor, investing in people is huge. Their farm teams, if they have hired labor, are like a family, and they take good care of them, and they want to make sure that they have a great work environment, because we realize not everybody's meant to sit behind a desk, and thank goodness we have the people that have that talent, that God-given talent to raise animals. But labor has been a big challenge for our industry, because it is sometimes a higher salary, although I would challenge that our farmers in the pork industry are paying very competitive rates because they have to.
Yeah.
But they also have to bring in foreign labor, because we don't have enough workforce in our rural communities to be able to fill and properly take care of the animals at the level that we're raising at pork production levels for Ohio. And so they struggle and they compete with our urban neighbors, right, for the same employees to work on their farms.
You're listening to the In Ohio Country Today podcast and radio show, part of the In Ohio Country Today TV show. Our guest today is Executive Vice President of the Ohio Pork Council, Cheryl Day. We'll be back with more right after this.
Start your planting season by adding 90-plus acres of great farmland in Auglaize Township in Allen County. From your area leader in land auctions, Dye Real Estate and Land Company. 90-plus acres offered in 2 tracts. Join us February 19th, 6 p.m. at the Howard Johnson Inn in Lima, Ohio. Online bidding is also available. From your area leader in land auctions, Dye Real Estate and Land Company. For more information on this and other upcoming auctions, go to dyerealestate.com.
From generation to generation, farmers do their best to protect their land, livestock, and farm operations, but they can't do it alone. Salina Insurance Group has partnered with local ag professionals to do just that, offering the peace of mind needed to run a successful operation. Salina's products and coverages come from our first-hand experience and relationships with local agents. For total farm protection, come experience the Salina difference. Learn more at salinainsurance.com.
When it's time to prep your feed, Kuhn mixers deliver consistent, thorough results every time. Built for efficiency and designed to reduce feed cost, Kuhn mixers help you get the most out of every ration. With decades of innovation focused on your feed, Kuhn stands above the rest. Stop by your local Apple Farm Service today or view our inventory online at applefarmservice.com/Kuhn. Meyer formula mixers are built for speed, accuracy, and efficiency. With fast processing times, low load heights, and precision unloading, Meyer helps you get more out of every load. Don't waste feed with unreliable mixers. Meyer has been innovating feed mixing for over 70 years. When you need consistent results, load after load, trust Meyer mixers from Apple Farm Service. Stop in today or view our inventory at applefarmservice.com/Meyer.
Alan Davis Insurance Agency, your solutions provider in Wapakoneta, Lima, and Minster. Alan is a business owner and an active farmer and Farmers Insurance President's Council Hall of Fame inductee for 2025. Trust Alan Davis Insurance Agency for auto, home, life, commercial, and total farm protection with offices in Wapakoneta, Lima, and Minster. For more information, check us out on the web at alandavisinsurance.com. Welcome back to the In Ohio Country Today podcast and radio show, part of the In Ohio Country Today TV show. I'm Big Dan Wilson, and our guest this week is Cheryl Day, Executive Vice President of the Ohio Pork Council. Yeah, you talk about labor and how important it is to make sure that you have the right people in place too. But there's a training that is involved as well in maintaining not only the health of the pork, the health of the product, but also that environment on the farm. So when we're talking about bringing in labor, I think it's important to recognize too that our farmers and our farming families are training these people to the utmost level that they possibly can to make sure there are no issues as far as that product is concerned when it leaves the farm.
That is correct. There is extensive training that's going on. We have a program that's called Pork Quality Assurance, and that's a certified program that every member on a pork farm is encouraged to get this certification. And our farms take that serious in training, so serious that here at Ohio Pork Council, every member of my team takes the Pork Quality Assurance training. And it's saying that we're vowing to a commitment to have a safe product, a commitment to take care of the pigs at the utmost care, ethnically and correctly, that we are committed to protecting the environment. We're committed to protecting the people in the barns, and we're committed and care about the people that work in our community. Let's go back to Ohio Pork Council and our educational efforts. I have a person on staff that leads the pork quality assurance training, and she makes sure that she trains the trainers. So that most farms have a trainer on staff so they can instantly train them on the onboarding process.
How cool is that?
And they need to renew.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's great.
That is
exactly.
Incredible.
It's a unique position, but she loves it every day. And she's training all the youth that are showing pigs because they are required to be trained, which is, we have to really caretake our next generation, or we will not be continuing to raise pigs in America.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the great things that the Ohio Pork Council does for our pork producers is that youth education, those programs, the internships, some of the virtual farm trips that you do, and more importantly, too, scholarship dollars that you guys have.
Yeah, we're pretty proud of our youth program. We can always continue to do better, but I've had up to 5 interns in a year because we see good kids out there that are trying to learn about the industry and want to learn professional development skills. If we can connect them, that's great. We're investing and working with the college, OSU's College of Vet and Medicine, to help them build their pipeline. We sponsor vet students that are swine focused or large animal to go to the largest convention for swine veterinarians, to the American Association of Swine Veterinarians. We will sponsor them. I think this year we'll have 8 sponsored to make that trip. And during that, they'll mentor with veterinarians, and we make sure that they network with Ohio veterinarians. And we think that that's a valuable tool that we can give beyond a scholarship program, is to be their mentor, to have somebody that's been in those shoes when they're struggling or when they're really striving to make sure that they can do the best they can do on the job.
And that kind of leads us into OH Pigs. Why don't you talk a little bit about that sportsmanship program?
Yeah, we'll be starting our 12th year of the OH Pig program.
Wow.
Now, we passed that 10-year mark, and we've been very blessed to have Kelly Morgan lead that OH Pigs program. She's very passionate about people and pigs. And she is also a teacher full-time. So she does this on the part-time gig, but she really invests in it. And the OH Pig program really blossomed from a jackpot series into a community in itself. Now, as a commercial breeder, a commercial raiser of pigs would say, why would you support a program that you let the kids go every weekend to a new place and move these pigs around, especially when we talk about biosecurity, right?
Yeah.
And we said, well, this is an opportunity that we can connect and build trust with those younger generations that show pigs. Will they all return to the pork industry? Probably not. They all, when they enter that show pig barn in their early years, think, I'm going to raise show pigs the rest of my life and make a good living at it. And we know, because we've all experienced that, showed some kind of livestock usually, that that's not going to be feasible unless you're a top-end breeder.
Right.
So we are going to connect them on many different levels. Biosecurity is the first thing that we talk with them. We have got a great partnership with that OSU Scientist program, first led by Dr. Bowman, and now Dr. Knowlton is handling it. But they're there every weekend with us. They're doing activities with them. They're doing creative activities with them. They're getting them involved. Our kids knew how COVID spread better than most adults did.
Wow.
Because they had already been discussing it about their pigs. And they're teaching them that even though you're going to jackpot shows, there's ways to sanitize after the show. There's ways that you don't bring things even in the show barn that they're showing with the jackpot shows. There's ways that you're spreading disease. And they added and they started this program. And now we're to the point that we implemented programs like 840 tags are required in our jackpot series. So they have to have an individual ID so that if we unfortunately have an outbreak of a foreign animal disease, we know what pigs have been on that grounds that weekend.
Wow.
And then they also have continued to have activities. They compete for points. They compete for their buckles. But within that, we have things like they make us videos. They make posters. So they demonstrate that they're learning through this program. We also talk to them about what their future looks like, how they could be part of the pork industry. We host a Junior Swine Day. For a while, OSU Extension was doing that. And then unfortunately with COVID coming in, the staff was limited. So Ohio Pork took that over. We bring in our experts for one day of learning. And through that, they learn more than just the Scientist program. And we always bring in a producer from the commercial side because Ohio's pretty unique. We have several commercial producers that also run show stock, seed stock. And so we have individuals like Dr. Todd Price, who has both on their farms, or the Isler family.
Oh, yeah.
And they're able to talk to them and say, hey, you can raise pigs for a living and still enjoy the show world. But there are things you got to do for biosecurity. You have to take extra steps. You have to have everything separated. But it's still possible. And really latch on to their love of raising pigs into a career.
That is amazing. The amount of effort and the amount of monies that you put into education and starting with our youth is so important to continue the legacy of that great product that is produced here in Ohio when we talk about pork. You're listening to the In Ohio Country Today podcast and radio show, part of the In Ohio Country Today TV show. Our guest today is Executive Vice President of the Ohio Pork Council, Cheryl Day. We'll be back with more right after this. Rodock Leasing Sales and Service is your place for Wilson Livestock Trailers. Wilson builds reliable, lightweight, and corrosion-resistant aluminum livestock trailers. Wilson is known for their attention to animal and operator safety, as well as the best in biosecurity. Wilson delivers your best value and your lowest cost of operation. Rodock is your home for Wilson Livestock Trailers. Call Rodock Leasing Sales and Service today. Learn more at rodock.com. Your outdoor fun starts today at Dad's Toy Shop in downtown Wapakoneta. Whether you're an enthusiastic RC hobbyist or searching for a great family gift, we have the best remote control land, air, and watercraft with parts and service you can depend on. Our experienced team and our great wall of parts will keep you cruising all year long, with batteries and chargers too. Your outdoor fun starts today at Dad's Toy Shop in downtown Wapakoneta, your one-stop shop for all your hobby needs. The SureTrack heavy-duty low-profile dump trailer is engineered for professionals who demand the highest level of strength, versatility, and efficiency. And Rodock Leasing Sales and Service is your place for your next SureTrack dump trailer. Available in multiple configurations, tailored to fit your specific needs, and built for heavy-duty tasks. This trailer delivers top-tier performance, helping you get the job done right every time. Call Rodock Leasing Sales and Service today, your source for SureTrack dump trailers. Learn more at rodock.com. Allen Davis Insurance Agency, your solutions provider in Wapakoneta, Lima, and Minster. For more information, check us out on the web at allendavisinsurance.com. Welcome back to the In Ohio Country Today podcast and radio show, part of the In Ohio Country Today TV show. I'm Big Dan Wilson, and our guest this week is Cheryl Day, Executive Vice President of the Ohio Pork Council. Now, one of the other things that you guys do a terrific job in is educating on a continuous basis through the Ohio Pork Congress, which is coming up soon, February 3rd and 4th in Lima, Ohio, where you can learn about industry issues, recognize industry leaders, of course, and support the Pork PAC Fund. So let's talk about this year's Ohio Pork Congress, Cheryl.
We're excited to be back in Lima for the Ohio Pork Council, and we have been challenged this year. There's going to be a little change. The traditional Ohio Pork Congress will be there in structure, but our farms came to us and said, if you're going to train our farm teams at the slat level, we need to make some adjustments, and we heard them. And they said, we need to be bilingual. You need to offer Spanish sessions. You need to have real people that talk what we say, pig Spanish. Because if I would simply just translate something into Spanish, it doesn't always translate to terms that we say on the farm. So the beauty of this challenge was it wasn't just led onto the staff of Ohio Pork Council. We have always picked the topics at Ohio Pork Congress through the producer ed committee. The producers picked the topics they wanted to have at the Pork Congress. The farms have raised their hands and said, we're going to help you with these extra breakout sessions.
Wow.
We have a fortunate Ohio leader, Stacy Vogt, who works with Swine Technologies, and she's leading that effort. She raised her hand and says, I train on the farm as part of my career. I can help develop a breakout session that is at the farm level. So this year, we will have our normal main stage going on. We'll have our returning, by popular demand, the Swine Health Symposium, working with the College of Veterinary Medicine at OSU. And we will have national experts come in and talk about animal health. And the veterinarians will come, and we'll have veterinarians nationwide and here in Ohio attend just to sit there all day and to learn. And then in our breakout rooms, we'll be running 2 English rooms and 1 Spanish room.
Wow.
For those Spanish speaking or those that we even have, some farms have up to 4 languages on their farms. And so we'll have translation devices. We have some veterinarian students that have a Puerto Rico project that they're doing on biosecurity. So we had, I think there's 3 or 4 students that have volunteered to be translators. And that great team at Fine Swine, because they seem to have the most languages spoke on the farm, they're volunteering people to help be translators and host. Because what we were hearing was we couldn't bring all of our farm team members because they weren't comfortable. They're speaking just enough English to be here, but they need to really feel more comfortable to really get the value out of Ohio Pork Council. So that's something that is new. We're also encouraging our trade show exhibitors, which we are very full in the trade show, which is wonderful support, to bring bilingual members if they're a national or company. And please bring Spanish or any of your bilingual material along with your English. So that way everybody feels included and they can learn at their level.
You're listening to the In Ohio Country Today podcast, part of the In Ohio Country Today TV show. Our guest is Cheryl Day, Executive Vice President of the Ohio Pork Council. We're talking about the Ohio Pork Congress coming up February 3rd and 4th in Lima, Ohio. And one of the things, too, that you support, and I think it's important to know that the pork industry here in the Buckeye State is doing their best to advocate for the pork industry. And to do that, you have to go to Washington. You have to meet with political figures, and you have to fund that somehow. And the Friends of the Pork PAC Fund is one of those avenues, one of those revenue streams. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so on Tuesday night, we will have our famous PAC auction, and Johnny Regular will be our auctioneer. But what's great about this is farms, the companies in the trade show area, and individual producers have donated some wonderful items for us to help us raise money for our event or our campaigns with the political figures. But most importantly is that fellowship in that room, realizing that it takes a grassroots effort to really move the needle on a political discussion. Mm-hmm. And so we need to be able to invest in our people to come, like you said, to come to Washington, D.C., or if it's coming to Columbus, just to have a conversation so that we can be proactive in protecting the producer's freedom to operate.
You know, one of the things, too, that I would be remiss if I didn't mention is the incredible amount of talent that you have on your Ohio Pork Council staff. We want to give a big shout out to Mike King, who's the Senior Director of Communications, but there are a lot of other individuals, including those officers like Nathan Schrader, who just give of their time and effort to help move the industry forward here in Ohio.
Yeah, I like to say we're one big team, right? Yeah. The Ohio Pork team puts on all of the activities together. It's not just our small, lean team of staff members that we have. It is most importantly our producers. We are just stewards of their dollars. And the producers, the board of directors, in combo with the allied industry, just as we demonstrated with the Ohio Pork Congress organizational, how we organized it, and the staff. That's what's making it success. It's that investment of their time and their voice. And let's not forget, we have 3 sitting on national boards. Jess Stevens is member of the National Pork Board. And what's really exciting for Ohio and interesting is that Dwayne Statler is your National Pork Producer Council president, and Pat Hord is your vice president. There's a producer in between them. So in 2 years, Pat will be president. So it's unusual to have that many from one state serving on national boards, but also serving as that officer rotation. And what's important for that is that just lends what we've always known about Ohio. You can lead from the middle. we might be in the middle of the top 10 states, sitting at 7th for production, but these leaders have very strong values, but very progressive thinking. Oh. And that's really a blessing when you're working on an industry together, because the grassroots effort is what makes Ohio Pork Council so special.
And Cheryl, none of that works without good leadership up front, such as yourself. You know, as executive vice president, taking that leadership role and moving the industry forward and making sure that the product is what our consumers definitely need and want in a quality product, and marketing that product as well outside of the realm of the Buckeye State. So we appreciate everything you do, and we appreciate everybody on the council staff as well as its officers and directors in what is probably one of the best, if not my favorite industry when it comes to bacon and pork chops and everything else here in the Buckeye State, the Ohio Pork Council. Our guest today has been Cheryl Day, Executive Vice President of the Ohio Pork Council. And don't forget about the Ohio Pork Congress, those dates and times again, Cheryl.
February 3rd to 4th. We start bright and early, 8 a.m. both days, and you can sign up and get more information at ohioporkcongress.org. That's
ohioporkcongress.org. You've been listening to the In Ohio Country Today podcast, part of the In Ohio Country Today TV show. For more information, as always, check us out on the web at inohiocountry.com. Have a good day, everybody.